Sea of Thieves is an upcoming action-adventure video game developed by Rare and published by Microsoft Studios for Microsoft Windows and Xbox One. Sea of Thieves is a pirate-themed action-adventure cooperative multiplayer game played from a first-person perspective. The game features cross-platform play between Windows-based personal computers and Xbox One video game consoles. A group of players travel and explore an open world via a pirate ship and assume different roles such as steering, hoisting sails, navigation, firing cannons and other tasks. Crackdown 3 is an upcoming action-adventure video game for Microsoft Windows and Xbox One with development being headed by Reagent Games and Sumo Digital, and published by Microsoft Studios. Was set to be released in 2016, but currently it is set to an unspecified spring 2018 date. In each game, players assume the role of the agent in protecting Pacific City with the use of high-tech vehicles and weapons. The game is played through a third-person camera. Players can choose different races for their agents, and the sequel added the ability to customize their armor color. The agent can dispatch enemies by shooting them with firearms, blowing them up with explosive weapons, or with using melee combat. Kingdom Come Deliverance, an upcoming action role-playing video game developed by Warhorse Studios and published by Deep Silver for PlayStation 4, Xbox One and Microsoft Windows, set to be released on February 13, 2018. Kingdom Come Deliverance is an action role-playing game set in an open-world environment and played from a first-person perspective, which will utilize a classless RPG system, allowing the player to customize their skills to take on roles such as a warrior, bard, thief or their hybrids. Abilities and stats will grow depending on what the player does and says through branched dialogue trees. During conversations, the time a player takes to make a decision is limited and will have an effect on their relationships with others. Reputation will be based on player choices and therefore can bring consequences. Agony is an upcoming survival horror video game developed by MedMind Studio and published by Playway. The game is played from a first-person perspective. The player controls one of the martyrs condemned to hell. Unlike other martyrs, the player possesses the unique ability to possess both other martyrs and, later in the game, lesser and even higher demons, giving them access to special abilities. Using mechanics such as crouching and holding their breath, the player can avoid demons. Besides hiding, the player needs to solve puzzles in order to unlock new areas. There are available hidden statues that the player can collect, as well as paintings which are possible to discover. Dynasty Warriors 9 is an upcoming hack-and-slash video game in development by Omega Force and to be published by Koei Tecmo. Will be released for PlayStation 4 in Japan on February 8, 2018, and for PlayStation 4, Xbox One and Microsoft Windows in Western markets on February 13, 2018. The title will revamp the gameplay of the series with the introduction of the open-world environment. A traversable map of China will be implemented which the player can freely roam on foot, horseback or boat, though the game will focus on livable environments such as cities and towns as well as places where large battles take place. The characters' moveset combinations are also planned to be revised. Metal Gear Survive. Upcoming survival action-adventure game developed and published by Konami. It will be released for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One in February 2018. Metal Gear Survive is a survival action-adventure game set in an open-world environment and played from a third-person perspective. It features a cooperative multiplayer mode, in which the player can be joined by up to 3 other players to explore the game's world and to complete missions. It can also be played solo, in which the player will be accompanied by 3 AI teammates, which the player can give orders to. The game will feature microtransactions, and requires an always online connection. Shadow of the Colossus is an action-adventure video game developed by Asahi Japan Studio and Team Ico. The game was released for PS2 in October 2005. A remake of the game with ultra-high-definition art assets is scheduled for release on the PlayStation 4 in February 6, 2018. The game's storyline focuses on a young man named Wander who enters a forbidden land. Wander must travel across a vast expanse on horseback and defeat 16 massive beings, known simply as Colossi, in order to restore the life of a girl named Mono. The game is unusual within the action-adventure genre in that there are no towns or dungeons to explore, no characters with whom to interact, and no enemies to defeat other than the Colossi. Shadow of the Colossus has been described as a puzzle game, as each Colossus' weakness must be identified and exploited before it can be defeated. A Way Out is an upcoming action-adventure video game being developed by Hazelight and published by EA. The game is currently scheduled for release on Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on March 23, 2018. A Way Out is an action-adventure game played from a third-person perspective. It is specifically designed for split-screen cooperative multiplayer, which means that it must be played with another player through either local or online play. In the game, players control Leo and Vincent, two convicted prisoners who must break out of prison and stay on the run from authorities. As the story of both protagonists is told simultaneously, their progress may not be synchronized, which may result in one player being able to control their character, while another watching a cutscene. Players need to cooperate with each other in order to progress, and each situation can be approached differently, with both characters taking different role. For instance, during a prison escape scene, one player needs to distract the guard, while another player needs to find a tool to aid their escape. These roles are not fixed, so Leo and Vincent can swap their roles in another playthrough. Players can interact with many non-playable characters, and there are dialogue options for players to choose. Red Dead Redemption 2 is an upcoming Western-themed action-adventure video game developed and published by Rockstar Games. It is scheduled to be released for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on October 26, 2018. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a Western-themed action-adventure game set in an open-world environment. The player controls Arthur Morgan, an outlaw and a member of the Van der Linde gang, from a third-person perspective. The game features both single-player and online multiplayer components. Far Cry 5 is an upcoming action-adventure first-person shooter video game developed by Ubisoft Montreal and published by Ubisoft. It is the 11th installment and the 5th main title in the Far Cry series. It is scheduled to be released on March 27, 2018. Similar to its predecessors, Far Cry 5 is an action-adventure first-person shooter set in an open-world environment which the player can explore freely on foot or via various vehicles. Unlike previous titles in the series where the player takes on the role of a set character, the game will feature a new character creator, which the player can use to customize their character's appearances, gender and skin tone. The game will also feature the old aiming system from other titles which allows players to lean around cover. The player will have a variety of ranged and explosive weapons to fight against enemies, while the game will place a renewed emphasis on close-quarters combat compared to previous Far Cry titles by introducing a wider range of melee weapons.